My wonderful, beautiful, amazing Geminis. I'm Gabriella from Gabriella's Vampire Tarot. For today, I'm going to be doing your general love reading, your 5-card spread. But before I do that, I want to offer these 12 red roses as a token of my love and appreciation for your love, support, and devotion towards my channel. So thank you all so much for even joining me today. This 5-card love reading includes that the first card represents you, the second, the other person, the third, the relationship, fourth, the past, and fifth, the future. Then I'm going to draw a Vampire Oracle for you, and then a Favole and a card from the French tarot deck of Le Tarot Interdit Vampiria. But let's get started with card number 1, which is for you, and you get the 6 of Pentacles. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like a give and take kind of relationship that I see here. So if you're currently in a long-lasting committed relationship, fabulous on achieving this beautiful goal of meeting that husband, wife, companion, whoever you're currently with, who's pretty much also loves, giving as well. So it's kind of like, one person gives something, the other person also reciprocates and so forth. And you don't do it because, out of, guilt or shame, or you pretty much just think, oh goodness, is this what relationships are based off of, that we constantly have to be doting upon each other? No, you do it because you love each other, right? So it just looks like, if one person does one thing, then the other person says, okay, I'm going to maybe, treat you to this or reward you for this, or maybe I'm going to actually, get you something like that as well. But if you're in a single position trying to find love, I see you wanting to manifest or actually try to achieve the desired goal of reaching this beautiful give and take. Because hypothetically, I've come across even hundreds of humans in my past existence where, it's like some humans, they are more like givers and they give, and the other person just kind of says, okay, I love these gifts, but please stop. And they say, but when am I going to actually get something? And they'll say, excuse me? Are you kidding me? You think I owe you, like a bouquet of flowers or a box of chocolates or a beautiful, like cufflinks or a new tie for that matter, or even a car? You want something from me? The point is there are humans out there who are sort of like that in that aspect, where they're just thinking, oh no, I'm meant to receive everything, Well, the fact that you're even in my life is already kind of a luxury, Hopefully it's not in that aspect. I'd be super cautious about those types of people out in this world. And of course, they come across as also very loving and caring, but you might be able to spot the red flags if possible. So, but anyway, let's find out who the other person is or could be. Ace of Pentacles. Now, this is an interesting card because, it's like this is a beautiful new offering of some kind, just like the Ace of Cups. But this has like value and potential and maybe even material possessions behind it. So it could be maybe, that if you're in a courtship even with somebody, that you could actually eventually be proposing to this person. Maybe this person's going to be proposing to you. But if you're in a long-lasting committed relationship, it looks like that you could also be with the Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo for that matter. A beautiful combination. But what I mostly see here as well for even the single ones is that you're hoping to find true love. You want to have a give and take kind of relationship. You want to make sure it's balanced. Even though you're not Libra, you could still hope and wish and desire and crave for some kind of, balance of normalcy in the sense where one person does one thing and the other person reciprocates and says, here you go, here you go, here you go. But I would definitely, keep a watchful eye for any kind of red flags in the sense of thinking, okay, what to watch out for. But, okay, it's actually best to kind of go on courtship phases because, even some of these humans, when they are actually more like receivers and hardly any givers and stuff like that, it's like, well, they're the ones, they pretty much just kind of, they dress nicely in other ways because they want to take good care of themselves. It's like, mostly based off of their own, way and stuff like that. And then, when you're, buying each other like that beverage, coffee or something, or whatever it is, tea, coffee, whatever. And, if you're the one that reaches out for the check and the other person just kind of just, sits there and just says, okay, I enjoy this treat and stuff like that. Those types of flags, if the other person, doesn't seem all that intriguing, or especially an important red flag is when they keep forgetting their wallet or their money, or maybe they're financially, struggling and stuff like that. Those are also types of red flags you want to look out for because those people just want to keep their finances to themselves and they don't want to share. So, relationship, temperance, okay. So, you could still be, if you're in a singlehood position for that matter, well, you could be in a very serene balance, at peace, but yet, you have that kind of craving within yourself to think, okay, I pretty much have my job, I have my house, I have my vehicle, or whatever it is that you have, well, that gives you this sense of thinking. It's sort of like an act of completion for that matter. And you pretty much just think, okay, I'm feeling, well, really, confident, serene, and balanced in my own way. And it's interesting because Sagittarius is your opposite sign, but you could always have any sign, even in your star chart for that matter. But it looks like that you do want to have this new beginning of some kind. But definitely, if you're in a confident position, and again, to each their own, if you enjoy lavishing gifts upon other people, go for it and do whatever makes you happy. But personally, it just looks like with the Six of Pentacles, that it should definitely be a balanced, give and take kind of relationship. One person, drives the other person to a destination. The other person offers them money for, petrol or gasoline, whatever it is, and stuff like that. Those types of, offerings for that matter as well. Because in the past, Ace of Wands, well, you were putting time and energy into something, and if you're in a long-lasting committed relationship, kudos and congratulations on achieving that beautiful desired goal, because you put a lot of energy and time especially into, this beautiful love connection that you are currently living in. Hopefully many beautiful anniversaries and reminiscing moments to come. But of course, you could have already been with an Aries, maybe Leo or Sagittarius. Maybe you're still currently with a Sagittarius as well. But either way, it just looks like they're the one that really wanted to actually, approach this, this whole connection, this love interest, this romantic, connection. And so that's why you're in a serene and at peace and balance mindset, because, all the other person reciprocated and accepted your offering or proposal for that matter as well. But if you're still in a single position, it still looks like that you are, putting a lot of time and energy into something, but maybe you only came across as maybe negative experiences. Hopefully you weren't rejected or refused in that matter. And here's, one piece of advice I always want to give to anybody who feels like you've ever been rejected or ignored or refused just based off of any reason. Ignore those people. Because the thing is, those people are either A, not meant to be with you in that sense, but B, the thing is, it's like a lot of humans, they tend to be incredibly shallow and too one-sided. If they only, focus on looks, your success rates, your finances, how rich and successful and handsome and beautiful you are on so many levels, stuff like that. Okay, those are good qualities to have, and please, do anything it takes to enhance your own personal confidence. However, the thing is that people still don't find you all that attractive in that sense. Yeah, the deep and sad truth is I would just ignore them and just let them go and forget about them. Just ignore them. And just, don't even, look back and think, but what if, this and that? No. Those types of people, they're probably already struggling with their own problems and stuff like that. So you don't want to even end up with somebody who's also going to be a potential burden on you in your current and future times as well, right? Because in the future, you do get Queen of Wands. So it's interesting. It's like, you could have already been, maybe with like a fire sign, maybe somebody who had Earth and Sagittarius and all kinds of stuff. But you could also end up with a Leo. This could also be taking place, still in Leo season up until August 22nd for that matter. But what I see here is either A, you're going to be in a single position, you're going to be incredibly strong, you're going to be confident, bold, and what have you in other ways, and you're going to be incredibly courageous. So a lot of people, are drawn to people who actually, will rebuild themselves. Like I even said, a makeover for that matter. Because I even think I even mentioned this to like maybe Aries and Taurus for that matter as well. I think it was Aries. I mean, you could also currently be with an Aries, but as the saying goes, if you build it, they will come. The thing is, if you're currently like in a poverty kind of situation where you only can afford one paycheck or something, or only, the bare minimum of your salary. I mean, sad but true in this modern times and stuff like that. The thing is, it's like a lot of people might just think, oh goodness, it's like I can't, I want to be able to live in a beautiful, luxurious castle, mansion, manor, whatever, and stuff like that. I know, it's like, a lot of people are just very shallow and one-sided, just remember that. But, and the thing is, it's like, if you want to actually rebuild yourself and turn into this prince or princess charming to try to draw that person's attention. And if that person were to ever approach you when you're in a really beautiful high standard of living and what have you and stuff like that, ignore them. Just say, nope, you had your chance of being with me. We could have grown into this very beautiful foundation, because I did mention this to both Aries and Taurus. And what I mentioned is that, it's like there were actually couples out in this world that also came from like poverty, lifestyles. And so what happened is that these two people, they came across each other or they met each other, what have you. And they mostly, wanted to actually, they fell in love with each other, not because of their whole situation and stuff like that, but they wanted to turn this relationship into a very beautiful, rich lifestyle. And they are currently, or maybe in the past, or maybe even in current times, they're living that beautiful lifestyle because they pretty much believed in each other. They built each other up. They, offered so much confidence and strength within you, to actually just enhance this very beautiful outcome, maybe of the same outcome or maybe of equal or greater value in the end. But these people, they didn't fall in love with each other because, of how, they pretty much had to like eat day old bread or something, or they only, lived in the whole bare minimum lifestyle for that matter. No. They saw potential in this very beautiful connection, and then they turned it into this very big foundation. So you might want to look into something like that. So, Oracle wants to add eternal youth, energy, newness, and vitality. Now that's what I'm talking about. Is, if you find this, person, whoever you're in love with and stuff like that, or whoever you're attracted to, the point what I want to say here is, if you have energy and eternal youth, of course, like vampires, eternal youth, but if you have the energy and vitality, try to create this beautiful new foundation and try to see if you can reach this very beautiful, bold, confident self in the future. And it's always good to do makeovers. It's always good to actually do a lot of self-development and self-improvement. Now, if you're only just thinking, okay, I'm only, just on the basic level, I just don't care, what have you, and so forth, 100% your prerogative on how you want to live. 100%. If you want to be in a single position for the rest of your life, 100%, and no joke, no sarcasm attached to it. If you think, no, I enjoy my own current life for that matter, I really don't need to find any kind of companionship, 100% your prerogative and reasons. But if you're interested in ever finding somebody, it's always good to always do a bit of self-improvement and development, so you could actually, just show, that you're somebody who wants to actually start providing some sense of value, in the sense of thinking, okay, I want to help people, I want to work with animals, I want to actually assist the elderly, I want to do whatever it is, stuff like that, and then you'll get other people so drawn towards you. But I do see this newness and vitality taking place. Wow. Because Favole wants to add Hierophant. Fabulous. You could end up with maybe a Taurus, or maybe you might end up in a very beautiful, long-term, committed marriage in the future. Mwah, happy, congratulations if this is, where you're heading towards in other ways. Because Hierophant is definitely a marriage contract, and it's definitely a commitments kind of card. Now, you could always be committed to your own self in the sense where you think, okay, I don't really need to get married. I'm not interested in marriage. I am actually okay with my current situation, my singlehood. I'm going to devote 100% time and energy to myself, and you should always do that either way. But if you're interested, this is what I actually mostly see for you, as long as you pretty much put the time and energy, which you've already started doing that with this beautiful Eight of Wands, which is kind of like on the parallel scale of the star, but it's not like the star wish fulfillment. But as long as you pretty much just put a lot of energy into your beautiful intentions, something will transpire, whether it's the same response that you're hoping to get, or something of equal or greater value in the end. So, the Tarot Interdit Vampirium wants to finish off with Le Soleil. The sun. Ooh, you might definitely end up with the sun. Fabulous. You might end up with a Leo in the end. Wow, Gemini and Leo. I know there's a lot of beautiful, couples out there who have, both of those zodiac signs. I mean, fabulous. The sun will definitely be shining. You could definitely end up with the Queen of Wands, but you could definitely just, this could, will be some beautiful sunshiny ending for you. You could definitely, just end up in this very beautiful loving, warm, and supportive, and nurturing, and other, well, and but this could also be a sense of clarity and stuff like that. But definitely, you could also have Leo placements in your star chart. I mean, we're currently still another week away from Virgo, but we're still 1 week, still in Leo season for that matter. But other than that, I'm going to have to leave it at this. I love this reading for you all out there. I really hope it will transpire somehow in any way, but I just think this is a beautiful reading. But anyway, I'm going to have to leave it here for now. If this reading resonated for my beautiful Geminis, please feel free to join and subscribe to my channel for more vampire themes, Dracula information, stuff like that. In a few days, I'm going back to my general readings. I'm going to have to find out how I'm going to do that, if I'm going to aim it back at the altar or do even these, personal videos like this again. But anyway, I love you guys incredibly. Thank you so much for joining me. Best of luck on where this journey may take you, and take excellent good care of yourself.